Hey guys, today what we're going to be talking about is finding the value of x, or solving polynomials through the process of graphing. So what I have open here is a program called Desmos. The name's at the top of the screen here. This is a great program. If you ever need graphing at home or mobilely on your phone, whatever it may be, Desmos is a wonderful program. Highly recommend it. But talking about solving polynomials, on the left-hand side of the screen here, I have three polynomials written. And what we're going to do is we're going to figure out how to solve them based on their graph. So the first thing that we want to make sure we know is that to solve a polynomial, it must be equal to 0. So that's probably something that you need to be doing on a piece of paper or on the site that you may be assigned this problem. If you're doing it as homework, whatever it may be, you need to make sure the polynomial is equal to 0 before graphing it. So I have these three polynomials in here, and we don't actually write equals to 0 in the program. It just kind of assumes in a way. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But we just write the polynomial itself as long as it does, in fact, equal 0. Now, I'm going to graph one of these, and then I'm going to minimize this. I'll try to make it to where it's a little easier to see here. So we have this shape, and if you're unfamiliar with what this is called, this big U shape is called a parabola. Now, what we'll notice is there's a couple really distinct and important points that we want to pay attention to. And those points are right here and right here. These are called the x-intercepts, the points where it crosses the x-axis. You see, we care about those points because whenever we talk about this equaling 0, the program automatically assumes whatever you typed in here is equal to y in a graph, x and y axis, that kind of thing. So if it assumes this is equal to y, then to figure out what it equals when it is 0, we find where y equals 0. Y equals 0 at the x-intercept, or at the x-axis. Now, all that fancy talk aside, if that's not really your cup of tea, you just prefer to know what do, you look at the x-intercepts. You look at where it crosses. This point, -3, and this point, -7. Those are the values of x that if we substituted into the equation would make it equal 0. That's it. That's our answer. We're done. Let's take a look at the second equation. So we have x squared minus 4x minus 12. If we take a look at where it crosses the x-axis, we see right here, -2, and right here, 6. Those are my values for x. Already done. That simple. Now here's the one kind of deal with this process. It works best with polynomials where an a value is equal to 1, meaning we don't really have a written coefficient in front of that x squared. That's when it works best. You'll notice I have this third polynomial here where the a value is 24. Really big number, right? But anytime we have an a value greater than 1, then what happens when I graph it is we get this. Now you don't immediately might not see the problem here, but let's take a look at this. Where is that crossing the x-axis at, right? Like, it's not at 1. It's kind of close to it. This one's almost at -2, but not quite there. So even if we click those points, it's at 0.875. That's a tough number to figure out. Now, the reason I say it's a tough number to figure out, I mean, obviously it's written right in front of us, but is because whenever we talk about solving these for x, we want to write our answers as fractions. So 0.875, that's kind of tough to figure out. How do you make it a fraction? In that same vein, this one is -1.667. Maybe that one's a little easier, but it still might be difficult if you're not used to converting decimals, especially weird decimals like that, into fractions. Maybe solving by factoring, or something that we're going to talk about in another video called the quadratic formula, will be a better option for us. But this method does in fact work. especially whenever we have an a value equal to 1. I think that's when it works best, and that's when it's really easy to solve. Just put it in the graph, see where it crosses, you're done. You found your x values. If you have any questions about this, feel free to drop them in the comments below. Otherwise, see you guys next time.